It's a basic question. What got you into the car scene?
Gosh. What was it? Probably Fast and Furious, like everybody else. Probably started seeing cars that were modded like the movies, and I had to have one, My name is Phil Fusco, and I drive a 2016 Series Hyper Blue WRX STI. I'm from Kitsap County, Washington. I've been driving an STI now for about 10 years. It's my current platform. I love it.
Friday night and I'm riding solo. When I touch down, keep it on the low low. I don't mess with your energy. No photos. So antisocial, but I don't care. Don't give a damn, I'm gonna smoke here. Got a bottle in my hand, bring more though. Got my hat low, don't talk to me. I've been down, give me some space. You don't know what's in my brain. Music loud, he's in my pain. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, on something, on something. I wanna ride, yeah. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. Won't let nothing come in between me and the night. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. On something, on something, on something. I wanna ride, yeah. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. I came to vibe, yeah. Won't let nothing come in between me and the night.
I've had 4 Integras. My first one I did exactly like Fast and Furious. The Wings West front bumper, the Type R spoiler. I did like the basic, Fast and Furious mods to that thing. So like I started out with the GSR. Actually my grandfather gave it to me. He's the one that had a VTEC GSR, 5-speed manual, 65 years old, and it was mint. I mean, the thing was garage kept, 50,000 miles. So I had that. My driving history is very colorful. I crashed that. I bought another Integra, modified that, had that one stolen, stripped. That was like really when all the Hondas were getting like ripped apart. Like it was a bad time to have one. The valves were completely burnt on that thing. So they thought they were getting this prime motor. They didn't get one. Picked up another Integra, sold it, and then I got my dream Integra. I got an Integra Type R 2000, Phoenix Yellow, number 43. Had that for like probably 2 years, drove it around, garaged it. Like I was getting paranoid that was going to get stolen at some point. Actually, that's what brought me into the STIs. My good friend had a 2005 STI, and I was, we would roll around and he would just take off, and there was no chance in the Type R. And it was fun. The Type R could handle in the back roads pretty well, but he just, that rumble, I just fell in love with the STI. That's where it kept building. So like I sold the Type R to my best friend. I bought myself a 2006 World Rally Blue gold wheel STI, did the basic bolt-ons, intake, Cobb axis port, turbo back exhaust. It was never more than like stage 2, and so from there I just had that for a while, enjoyed it, had a good time in it, like learned how to really drive an all-wheel drive car. Like I had snow tires for the winter, went snow drifting, did some street drifting, but I probably shouldn't have, never tracked it, autocrossed it once, and I loved it. Ever since then I was like, this is a great platform. I bought a 2012 Satin White Pearl. That was brand new. My first brand new car was that 2012 STI, and I fell in love with a new car. The smell, like I was just driving it, just that new car feeling. I kept that one for quite a while, like 3 or 4 years, and then I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was this exact one. I drove 3 different Hyper Blues at 3 different dealerships, and I saw the Hyper Blue color in real life, and I was like, I have to have that. I have to have that. So I looked in my area. They're like one of 700, so it was tough finding them. And then I drove all the way down to Portland for this one. I actually ended up buying this car, trading in my 2012. The door was painted, like resprayed. You could tell they had a little bit of overspray. They fixed it, but I'd like to believe that this car was the same one I originally drove like months prior to that, because the price went down, the door was resprayed, it had the same clear bra, same mileage, maybe like 200 miles more or 100 miles more, whatever it was. And yeah, that was my whole progression of like where I went from Hondas into Subarus pretty much. And you know, who knows where I'll go from there. I think everybody has ambitions of, you know, bigger, better, faster, whatever. So I had it for a year, and I was driving it. It was my daily driver, going everywhere, you know, like I went to Seattle with it, to, you know, Portland with it, to the Northwest big Subaru meets, and loved it. I wasn't even stage 1. I didn't want to mod it. I was like, you know, I was so happy with it. Just like even washing this thing and having it clean was just like, I loved it. I had the arc grip, and that was the only mod I did. The exhaust, gave it a little rumble, enjoyed the crap out of it, drove it everywhere, put about 20,000 miles on it, and then on Christmas Eve 2017 it caught fire. The engine caught fire. It was the weirdest thing. I thought for sure I blew the motor, or I did something in the motor. I had classic like rod piston failure, the ringland failure. I thought that was what happened. I was just driving down the highway, I see smoke coming out the back of my car, like just trailing smoke. And I'm like, what did I do to this thing? I'm like, well, I didn't modify it, so good on me. Like, I get to go bring it to Subaru, they're gonna fix it, you know. I get that smoking more and more as I get closer to home. I'm like, you know what, I'm only like a mile away. I'm just gonna get home. It was my parents' house, Christmas dinner. I'll park it and I'll tow it in the morning to Subaru, you know. And I get home, and I'll never forget, like, this family was like walking by, and the kid's just like, mommy, like, and she pointed. And she's like, you better check that out, like really sassy. And I'm like, what is she talking about? So I get out of the car, pop the hood, smoke came out of the hood. I'm like, well, that's not good. And I see a flame like the size of my fist. Like, it wasn't any bigger than that. And I was like, I just went into like, I gotta take care of this. So like, I ran inside the house. I don't know why, but the first thing I thought about was a big pot of water. And maybe that could have been when I walked through the door, mom's got her Christmas potatoes cooking like in this big pot. And I'm like, Mom, I need the biggest pot you got. My car's on fire. And me messing with my parents over the last 30 years, they're like laughing at me. And I'm like, Mom, they drove me even more mad. I'm like, Mom, I need water in a big pot right now. My car's on fire. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about, Phil? And I'm like, they're gonna be of no use in this dire situation. So I run back outside. As I'm running outside, I see one of those like huge 5-gallon, like we have one of those 5-gallon water things that you put in, you know? So I grab it, I undo the thing, and I get over there, and it's got a little check valve in it. So I go to the engine bay, I start dumping it, and it just spits a little bit of water like on the fire. I'm like, this is not gonna work. I'm panicking. My dad comes outside at the exact same moment and goes, holy shit, Phil, your car's on fire. And I'm like, no kidding, Dad, that's what I just ran inside and told you, but you didn't believe me. He's like, grab the hose. So like, I run and I grab the hose. He turns the hose on. It's like 30 degrees out. It's frozen. So he's like, smack it on the ground. So I smack it on the ground. And this was all over a span of maybe 2 minutes. By then, the flames were hitting the top of the hood. My neighbor saves the day, comes running over with an extinguisher, takes it out. That was an insane 3 minutes of my life, like car catching on fire in the driveway. Pushed it away from the house, so like, you know, just in case, you know, because I was picturing like the videos I saw, the car fully engulfed, something exploding, like getting into the house, catching the house on fire. So
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, exactly. The car blows up, you know, gets launched in the air a couple feet. But yeah, that was the start of this car, and it's just been ups and downs since then. I decided to buy it back. I'm like, it's now or never. It's either full blowout, go crazy with it, or sell it and buy a GTR. Honestly, that was like my 2 options. I was like, go all out, because I know like the motor needed to be pulled. So I'm like, now's my time. Big turbo, you know, built block, big injectors, fast Subaru, you know, or GTR. And I was on the fence. The money was in the account, and I bought the car back. I gave myself that option. So I was like, how much is going to be to buy it back? And you probably wouldn't believe me, but $4,500 to buy this thing back. And I'm like, well, at that price, yes. Anything, I could sell the wheels at the time they're limited. I could sell things and get back my $4,500 if I really needed to, you know? And so I had it in the driveway. I was making that decision, and then in that time frame, Varis had just released. It was Tokyo Auto Salon, came out like, you know, 2 weeks after the engine fire. They announced they had the car there at the show, and I was just like, I have to have that. I ordered the kit that day. Like I called up Bulletproof Automotive and I was like, hey, I want to order the kit. They're like, hey, cool, $100. I was like, what? $100? They're like, yeah, $100. I'm like, that's odd, but okay. So I gave them $100, and then like a month later, they asked for like half the cost up front or whatever to get it going. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So 6 months down the road, a semi truck pretty much with 2 flatbeds or 2 pallets gets pulled off the loading dock. My wife was home, I was at work, records the whole thing. It was pretty cool. And forklifts 2 giant pallets full of Varis parts. It was like Christmas on crack. Like I came home, opened the garage, and I was the happiest guy in the entire world. It really just exploded from there. That's honestly, a month before that, I ordered the Volks. They came in like at the same time. So these things were just piling. It was like every day. Christy was going nuts. She was just like, how much stuff did you buy for this thing? I had, parts for the engine coming in. I had the wheels come in. I had the suspension come in. I had the 2 pallets full of Varis parts come in. And I'm calling around, various body shops, see who wants to, do the car. The car's a rolling chassis at this point right now. The motor wasn't pulled yet. So that was kind of difficult, like kind of organizing where it was going to go first. Because I had also at the time, I picked up a used motor, the motor that's in it now, from a crashed 2017 STI, and it had like 10,000 miles on it, and I got a steal on it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take that whole long block assembly, the whole thing, got the whole thing out of it, rewire some stuff. The ECU ended up having to come out and get a new ECU. It just wasn't talking right to it, but never built the motor on it, but still swapped in FP green turbo, 1050 injectors, full bolt-on. When it went, originally it first went to the body shop to get the Varis kit put on. That took about a couple months, and at the time there was only one other that was finished up in Canada. And so I was like, at the time I was asking all, hey, can you send more pics? Send more pics. I love that thing. I just need to see more of it. The only, you could get pictures from Varis on their website or this guy. Another guy down in SoCal actually got his on. So it was cool. I had like a couple people I could look at pictures while I drooled over mine being done. It was, it was all white, was primered. Like the car looked like crap, but it's still like the lines were starting to be, getting molded in. It was starting to take form, and I was really falling in love with it. Yeah, he finished it up like almost a year to the date of like the fire. Like he finished it the week before Christmas 2018. I had it, on a flatbed sitting out in front of my house, and I'm like, there's no way this is my car, like I kept checking in on it, and it got, they started it up, fired it down, and I'm like, a year and a month later, I'm inside my fully built like dream car, dream build, if you will. Like I couldn't have been any happier with it. I would say it has a curse, 100%. I'm trying to break that curse, and I think I'm getting close to it. But I refuse to give up on it. It was one of those things that also, like, adversity, every bad situation, you can make something good out of it, right? The engine fire, I took a car that caught on fire and just built my dream car out of it. So I would say it definitely has a little bit of a curse. That wasn't the only thing that happened to it. A month later, after, I had my dream build, driving down the road, and I get to an intersection where it's a yield, and this old lady in front of me yields, so we both come to a stop, and we're looking at the traffic left. She takes off, plenty of time. I creep up, look left, plenty of time, start accelerating, bam, like nailed her. Like and I wasn't just like accelerating, I was accelerating, like I was hard on the gas, because I had plenty of room, but I just was romping on it. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take off. And I went from probably a couple feet behind her and hit her so hard that the car shut off. It bent the intercooler back, the piping came off, obviously, car shut off, and I was like, okay, lost vacuum. And I cracked the front bumper of the car bad, to the point where I needed a new one, which is 6 months from Japan. Cracked the carbon fiber hood and scraped up a couple other pieces. Other than that, it really wasn't all that bad. All things considered, that really hurt. That would really put me down. Like I was really struggling after that to find motivation to like do anything with this car. So I put it back in the garage, took it apart, ordered a new intercooler, got the intercooler in, bolted up the piping to it, fired her up, tried to fire her up. She's not firing. And I'm like, what in the world? I thought for sure, you know, it lost vacuum from that intercooler piping. Did not have a vacuum leak. It turned out that one of the AVCS cams failed. Fixed that. Nope, it wasn't that. The timing, it jumped timing. So here I am. I'm like, holy crap, the motor could be toast, right? The heads could be bent. And I'm like, well, we'll put it back to top dead center and put a new belt on it and see what happens. And we did. Cranked right over, and it's been running great ever since then. Oh girl, please don't do anything else. I guess like number one would be, you know, definitely do it. Get into cars. Drive something you want that's fun, you know. Get into it cheap, you know, start out cheap. Get a cheaper, you know, whatever it may be, from a GTI Golf to WRX, or whatever you can get yourself into these days, you know. Do it cheap. Don't go all out like crazy. You know, the young kids, like, I know how I was. I blew every penny I had on my car, which is, you know, I was super happy with it. Maybe that's what you have to do too. But when something's gonna happen, you know, something's gonna break, something's not gonna go as planned, and you're gonna be stuck there, and you're gonna be sitting there, and everybody has this dilemma where like, well, do I sell the car? Do I keep the car? Do I upgrade the car? Do I, you know, whatever it may be. And like, just don't give up on your personal goals and, you know, your ambitions. If you want to go crazy with the car like I did and go full build, full wide body, bigger turbos, you know, faster car, go for it. You won't know if you don't do it and you don't try. And if something goes wrong, then just roll with the punches, because like, they're gonna happen. Something's gonna break, and you're not gonna have, you know, that feeling of driving your car. It's gonna be sitting in the garage, and you're gonna be kicking the tire. You're gonna be down in dumps, and just like keep focused. Like, stay focused with it. Just get it to where you want it to be. Whether it's fixed and sold to get onto the new project that you want, or the better car you want, or just to be fixed and on the road and enjoying that, you know, windows down, cruising to nowhere, you know, just to drive the car feeling like, that's my big takeaway from all of this, is like, I could have gotten down so many times with all of my cars. I should have got out of it when, you know, I had a car stolen, or like the first crash maybe, but I just enjoy it too much. Enjoy the community, and it gives me a good feeling, and I'm chasing that feeling every single day when I'm driving this thing.